What is up, everyone? Hi, Marianne. Good to see you.
Hey, Doc. Good to see you.
Hey, Marianne. Good
There we
to
go.
see you. How's everything going with you?
Excellent.
Good. Good. Awesome to hear it.
Marianne, excited to chat with you tomorrow. Thanks for
Yeah,
rescheduling.
absolutely.
Nice. What's up, Sebastian?
Good evening from Germany. Hi.
Good evening.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, where's everyone calling in from? You either just say it or put it in the chat.
I'm in Tucson.
Tucson, Ron's in Oregon. Cool. I am in Argentina.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's one of our favorite genres for foreign movies lately.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
What does that entail exactly? Just films from here?
Yeah. Thank God for Netflix and some of the other streaming, but because we've always gone to the Palm Springs International Film Festival. If it doesn't have a subtitle, I don't know how to watch it almost. But
Nice.
yeah, they've done some. They used to be pretty amateur, but one of our favorite Spanish directors is he went down there a few years ago, and they've got a good deal going on now.
Very cool. What's up, Erica? Have a few more people join in. Cool. I think we can just go ahead and get started. So yeah, I guess first off, what are we doing here? Who are these people and what's going on? So my name is Mitchell. I help run the memberships for AppSumo. Also here we have Katie Weeks, and she helps manage all things AppSumo Plus, the community. It'd probably be easier to list out things she doesn't do than does, because she does it all. And we also have Doc Williams. And so sort of the impetus behind some of this is, I don't know if you guys know, but we have an expert services PDP that that Doc has. I'll just put it in the chat here because this is sort of the background of how this started. And so Doc and I were talking a few weeks ago and about some of the questions that he gets from that, and we were like, oh, it'd be cool just to open that up to all Plus members. And that is essentially what we're gonna test out here. And also, like, big picture, we just want to make Plus the best business community on the internet. And so we've listened to a lot of your feedback, have a lot of surveys, have a lot more surveys come in, but that's just basically because we want to know what you guys want. And so this was one of the big things. Education around setting up tools or events, more exclusive access. So we listened, and we're gonna try this out. If you guys love it, we'll keep doing it. If you guys hate it, we'll keep doing it anyway. No, just kidding. We'll stop doing it, and we'll do more of what you guys want, and make it cool. So the idea around this was just to make open up a space, and so we do some of the master classes, which are more presentation style with a little Q&A. But it seems like a lot of people wanted more of the Q&A, maybe even come off mute and either share your screen or just talk about your actual business and things that you have going on, ways we could help. I would put Doc up there with, like, sure, people at AppSumo know the tools, but in terms of understanding the tools and specifically how to integrate it into your business, I would put Doc up there with just about anybody online. So it's super cool that we have him here and can dive into any questions. And so what we figured, we put out a survey before. We have a few questions that came in from there, but we also want to prioritize any that you have just here live. So if you want to put any in the chat directly, we could feel free to unmute yourself too, and we get into that segment to ask questions, and we could go through there. But without further ado, let's hear from the man himself, Doc. I think I put a little blurb of Doc Williams is a full stack brand developer and CEO and founder of Brand Factory, which is a mouthful. But he also has like a YouTube channel. He has a cool community. And he's just very knowledgeable with a lot of things AI right now, but a lot of just like business, specifically client service businesses and in tools and no code setup. So Doc, what is up, my man?
Hey man, thanks so much for having me. It's great to see everyone. I know some of you, and it's great seeing Marianne, Erica. I see all of you. Shout out to all you guys. So it's great to see everybody, and yeah, I'm excited. This has been a passion of mine for a long time, and talking about AppSumo for I don't know 10 plus years, something like that. So yeah, it's all good stuff, and excited to answer questions and dive into this.
Yeah, it's funny when Doc and I were talking before this, I was like, is there anything you want to get out of this? This and that, talking about ideas. He's like, yo, I just love talking about AppSumo tools and like custom setups. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. So I think that's what people really want. Before we get into anyone's questions, and feel free to put them in the chat as well. Doc, I'm curious, like you've been around AppSumo for a while, you're a Plus member, you've seen a lot of tools. What in also going off the expert services like consultants that you do, like what do you think is the most common question you get or struggle with like a Plus member?
Yeah. So there's two main one. The first one is I've bought in too much. Like I don't know how to put all this together. I feel paralyzed. I have all of these kind of deals. Like where do I begin? So that's the first one of like piecing together where does it plug into their business? And then closely behind is like, okay, I've spent all this money, but I haven't made a sale. I haven't had a client. Like I don't see the progression of how I can make this a business, either freelancing or agency or something like that. So those are the two main ones for sure.
Gotcha. And another way too that we could do that, if you go to the reactions and then raise hand, we could start the queue that way to just ask the questions
Yeah.
live if everyone's cool with that. Nice. And then so Doc, I'm curious, like how do you like not only do you have your own business, you consult with other businesses, you're looking at AppSumo for deals and tools, like how do you stay organized?
Yeah. So the way I stay organized is I have a flow of the essential steps of a business that you need, and then I plug in that way. So a lot of times, because listen, I get excited seeing all these deals too, but sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I need to buy this. I need to buy this. And then over time, like I keep buying the same or ones that overlap. And then it's just like, where do I go with this? Because I just have all these tools. So I have this process, and it's basically 7 steps of all of the essential things that a business needs to have to run for an online business entity. And then I just plug in from there. And as I'm saying that, I can go and get that PDF if you want, so I can show it. But I just look at that and then I'm like, okay, what do I need for either my own business, or if I'm working with a client, it's like, okay, what are they missing? And then I can just do a plug and play. And whenever something comes up on AppSumo, I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it needs. So I just buy that, whenever it comes up.
I love that. So it's essentially just like an essentials checklist of like, okay, I definitely need these. Anything else would sort of just be ancillary added benefit, but don't get too sidetracked. And then is that like a Notion template? Is that like just a Google sheet, or I'm
I'm
just
pulling it
curious.
up. Yeah. So I have it as a PDF. I'm going to bring it up in a second, but I think I need to turn it into a Notion, just a Notion doc that I can present with people actually, now that you say it. But yeah, it's just the step-by-step of what you're going to be getting. I'm logging in right now. So what am I doing? I'm logging into, I use Podia, and basically all my products and all my digital products are just on that. And then if there's any like free things or anything like that, or people that are interested, I just have them download or enroll into that right there. So I'm downloading the like template that I use, so I can show it on screen in a second. It's poor planning.
Awesome.
I should have done this earlier, but
But that's the beauty of doing it live, baby.
yeah.
As you're getting that pulled up, for the new people who have joined, quick, just sort of intros. We're just asking Doc questions. Anything goes. It could be about in general about AppSumo. It could be about just tools or business in general outside of AppSumo. And we could feel free to put them in the chat or use the reactions to raise your hand, and we'll go through them that way. I know Eric has one that we'll get to after this.
Cool. So this is, and I can send it so people can get it, but it's like, this is part of the ones I have. Save 6 ways to save time and make more money. And so I have stacking principles of what I'm looking at in every single business. So for a digital business, you need to have a home base. You need to have an opt-in form, some way how you can get paid, how you can contact someone, automated follow-up, tracking process and effectiveness, and then automating process streamlining. So turning that into automation or using something like that. And that might seem like a lot, but I basically start from the top going down, because if you don't have a home base, if you don't have a lead page or something, if you're just on social media, you can get shut down by terms of service or something going wrong or so many things. So, okay, do we just have somewhere where I can own the land? Do I have something where I can own the land? Do I have an opt-in form? Can I get paid? Now, I will give you a hint. There's a lot of tools that sometimes overlap or can do all these things. And like AppSumo, I see use it all the time. I use it, and that's Paperform. Basically, Paperform does almost all of these things for me. And there's a lot of comparable things in the store right now, but that's how I accomplish these things, the majority. Now, where it's like contacting people, CRM, I use ConvertKit and SendFox. There's a reason why I separate it, but I use that for contacting people. Automated follow-ups, I'm using a mixture of SendFox, ConvertKit, and then also Paperform. Tracking process, I just use a basically like a bit.ly style, like shortening link, so I can follow things and everything like that. And then the automating process, I use Connexit, and also now with the new AppSumo beta 1 with which is for automation, trying that out. So those are the process. So every single time, if I'm looking for a new product in AppSumo for myself or the business, I'm like, is it something that I need to do here? And then everything else is a nice to have. So I use tons of other AppSumo products that we can go into and dive into, like why I really like a bunch of AppSumo products, but like this is the main thing. And afterwards, I have to justify why am I going to plug in any other thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I like the order of operations too, because I think we all could get stuck at like optimizing this thing that doesn't really exist yet. But if you don't have the first 3, specifically the paying customer component, it's like the rest doesn't even really matter. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Erica asked, what's your favorite or most used AppSumo tool that you've ever bought?
Yeah, probably most used is Paperform, because that has been how I've gotten my most leads, like how I launch MVP products, like just testing out if people want it. It just comes back to Paperform every single time. Yeah.
And so will you, now that you have Paperform and you know that it checks all these boxes, do you keep a list of anything of what it doesn't do? Or like, say you got a new tool, something's featured tomorrow, like it's almost having these, like I know in the investment world, you have an investment thesis of like, here's why I bought this and the reasons. And if these things were to change, then I would, change my behavior. But if nothing has changed, then I'm not going to like let myself get derailed.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if you think about it like that at all.
Yeah, that's a great question. I try to do an evaluation quarterly, but I also do it monthly. Like, what are the pain points of my business? And I have a 0 to 10 scale of emotional, how do I feel? And then like productivity, 0 to 10. So like 0 to 10, like 10 is I am dealing with something in my business. I am so overwhelmed. I just don't want to even log into whatever I'm doing. 0 is it's going so well. Like it's everything's going, it's just excellent. The other one is like productivity. I'm doing something, but it's really manual. It's taking tons of my time. It's important to my business. It's just, I don't know how to automate it yet. So I try to scale the two because it's important to note sometimes the emotional toll of just not doing something in business or not wanting to, it might even be more drastic than like just it takes a lot of time. So with that being the case, kind of like what you said, if something's working well, I'll note like, oh, paper form, this is what's going well. Maybe I'm missing this. I try to reflect on my business, like how am I feeling and what is it costing me if I don't have this other new component to plug in to make my business get to the next level. And then if it's anywhere above a 5 of my perceived feeling on it, then I'll go for a solution in AppSumo or look for something to, supplement. But if not, I clearly have a section of AppSumo where I'm just like, it's nice to test, but I even have a time limit per month I'm allowed to test things so it doesn't overwhelm the rest of the things I'm doing in my business, because a lot of these tools are so easy to buy it and then onboard, and then you're just in the thick of it, and then you're watching all these videos how to do it, and then you're not doing anything with your business. So I try to make sure that I put it in a box and I have a clear point. 1 day a week for 3 hours, I can just experiment or learn, and then I can do whatever I want in AppSumo. But other than that, I don't have to have that balance for me.
That's great. Yeah, that I don't know. I'm seeing some of the faces 1 day a week for 3 hours. It's like, oh, that might be a lot. But like, I don't know. Maybe what do you think the minimum effective dose might be? Just like a repeating quarterly like calendar invite just to do that. I like that pulse check that you mentioned about like tying it to a quantitative measure. Like, how does this make like emotionally and like just like basically quantifying your pain points?
Yeah. I mean, and that's, I would say, even if you're like, hey, I don't have time, I'm running my business, I don't even have time to do that. I'd just say quarterly, like what's going on in your business that you want to work on this quarter to get better at, or something that's really, really, that I need to improve. Just look at it a quarter, write notes, or that's another thing too. If you don't have time, just write notes how you're feeling. I have a reflections per week, just takes 5 minutes. You put a timer on, and then you just write down like, how did I feel about business this week? How did I feel about life? Like, what was causing me, stress, or I just didn't feel good. Then sometimes you can reflect over a couple of weeks or months. Just look at the reflections every week and see like, is there a pattern? The biggest thing for me was I used to take, I used to do calls throughout the week and I would get really fatigued, and I just saw my attitude just go downhill. What was the biggest thing? I needed to only do client calls once a week and for only 4-hour blocks and like nothing else. And then it was, hey, I only want to talk to 7 clients, and then the rest I want to do group coaching instead. So then it changed, like, okay, do I need new products? Like maybe I need UpCoach or something like that. Then I can go back in AppSumo, like, okay, now I'm changing my business model. I'm changing what I'm doing. Now I need something different to scale up the business.
Gotcha. So essentially just having a little bit more of a system or game plan around like the ability to, one, surface these pain points and check in on it, and then 2, like remove the future decision downstream once this awesome, the best deal comes up. You're like, oh, actually, yeah, that's a someday maybe, but it's not like a right now type of thing that you need to like, waste your time. At the end of the day, it's the time during the week that's most valuable.
Absolutely. You let me know too. I can give you like, you tell me. I've got a couple of things. I can show you the whole process I use in the business, or you tell me where you want me to go with this. I don't want to derail this.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from everyone. What do you guys want? Do you guys want to see that? Do you guys do that? Is that something that would be important? Let's see.
Share all your
System,
secrets, please.
Yeah.
They want to know. They want to know that.
Okay.
Well, what are you using for leading your group coaching, and how are you generating the leads to get them into that?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. So the first one is, where do I get the leads? Personally, it's YouTube or Reddit. YouTube, because I put out weekly videos, and that becomes a really good like a qualified filtering system. If people don't like hearing me talk on my live streams or my videos, they're not my best clients. Like they just won't do well in group coaching. So what I find is just being as authentic as possible on YouTube and just doing the style that you like on YouTube has really worked because it's transferable, because once they're in group coaching, they know exactly what to expect. So all my leads have come through YouTube, like the vast majority, I would say like 96%. Reddit is interesting because Reddit has to be, it depends on the community, depends on the subreddit, but the more genuine and like not salesy, you're just answering questions and expecting nothing in return, those have become really interesting fans. Like I did it for pretty extensively for like 8 months on Reddit. And then now people are messaging me, people are referring back to my posts and what I've done like a year ago, which was interesting. But those have been the biggest. I have tried over and over again trying to do the LinkedIn way, and it has not produced for me personally the right kind of clientele. And I think there's layers of why that could be. But I mean, even using like Find My Lead and doing all of these different ways to go for the leads and trying to make sure that, you know, we're doing follow-ups, I haven't found the right clientele for me personally using LinkedIn. Yeah, that's a great question. I can also answer, I also go to very specific groups that I already know they have the willingness and ability to pay my rates. So I sometimes go to groups where I know that they're paying somewhere between 10 and 20,000 for the community that they're paying for per year. And so I already know if it's the right fit, I don't get pushback on them looking at my rates. And so sometimes I'll go to very specific groups. I'll give an example, like, so I went to 4Ds, so Gary V's thing. And there's a couple other groups that are between 10 and 20. And then if it's the right fit. But the one thing is I don't go into those group pitching. It's more of just like friends kind of thing. But I already know, I'm like, listen, I already know how much we all know how much you spent to be in here. So if we're going to go for 5 to 10K a month, and I can optimize your business or something like that, I'm not fighting on price, because personally me, I don't like trying to be on the back foot justifying my pricing or they're like, oh, that's a little bit too high. Like, I just don't want to have that conversation personally. Like, that's, to me, I get stressed out from there. So I'm like, how can I alleviate that? I need to be in a different group. That was a great question. Great question.
I have a question.
Cool. Hey, man. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you, brother. I have a software company and we help coaches and local businesses and all types of businesses, e-com, you name it. And we give all our software for free. And we have a referral system where they get $60 passive every single month for referrals. And so it's a female community, and I'm trying to change the game. And we use an app called Geneva. I highly, highly recommend you checking it out, and everybody to check out Geneva. It's completely free and you can run groups. My question is I'm adding so much value. I do office hours every week. I've made millions online. I'm like a little island, and I haven't put myself out there. So one of the problems that I have is we've got tons and tons of clients, and it's infinitely scalable. That little bit of that trust, where they're like, okay, you've been a pro athlete, you've been an engineer, you've been like, they know what publicly I've written books and stuff, but it's because I haven't built my personal brand, like you said, on Reddit or YouTube yet. My question is how, like, I'm trying to build a game change program here and create a lot of jobs and income, but getting a community, a lot of people buy courses and they're like, this isn't my vibe. This wasn't the community I was hoping for. When they see mine, they're like, dude, wish I would have met you 5 years ago. So my question is, how do I continuously cultivate, besides just asking them what they want, filling their needs, doing masterminds and like that kind of stuff? It's working really well. But I want to like have engagement where people feel heard, understood, and it's not some here's motivational Monday, here's talk about it trends Tuesday. Like, I don't want some, that's not me. I'm very unique. So just curious on how I can really build an emotional tribe. And I feel like I've done my part, and I'm kind of in the unknown now. So I hope that was clear.
Yeah, that's well, thank you. That if I'm understanding this correctly, are you trying to have other members in your tribe stand out? So are you trying to figure out different programs for you to highlight and really build up different stars of your community? Or is it, could you tell me a little bit more about that?
So I give all my, so I have free business courses: how to generate traffic, how to get leads, how to scrape leads, how to run content marketing, how to use, like, I give everything for free. I don't charge a dime, and it's all top of the line stuff. So they're getting all the free. Then I have like 76 softwares. They get that for free. And so they just pay to be a part of the community, which is $99 a month. And anyone they bring into my community, they get $60 a month every single month. It's literally for these people. And it's like middle-aged females, it's young cars, older seniors, all over the world. So the question is like, it's not about egos, my community, it's about open source. So we share, so I teach them everything, all the fundamentals, A to Z, structuring the business, payment processing, everything. And whether they're e-com, mom and pop shop, flash business, whatever, webinars, you name it, I show them how to do everything, how to get PR. But the problem is I want to not make it about egos where everybody's sharing, but people really feel a part of what we're doing, where they're not just focused on their business, doing their thing and stuck in survival, where they're like, hey, Austin, here's a win, here's a loss, here's a learning. And then the other people are really starting to be vulnerable. I want people to be honest and vulnerable. And for all of us, I lift under the hood in my business. I'm like, here's what my market. So any thoughts on that?
Thank you. Okay, that makes sense.
In the community, there's no up. Yeah.
No, thank you. Okay, so just as you're saying these things, if you're having this many stories and you are talking about this, one of the things that I would be looking at is you actively listening and showcasing some of those voices in the community, and then testing it out what kind of format the community likes. Is it long form where you're doing a very in-depth interview with some of the people in the community and you're highlighting just their story and they're explaining about themselves? Do they like bite-sized pieces of that
They love
conversation?
bite size. Yeah, bite size. Yeah.
So those are the things. So it would be testing out the different bite-sized pieces, and then you're then adding KPIs or benchmarks. Once you share that bite-size moment highlighting the members, what do you want the members or the community to do? Taking action to then share one bite-sized piece of their story in the same format? Is it them sharing that piece of content on social? What do you want out of that as the community engages?
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah, because I hope this adds some value to people. So like one of the things that made me a lot of money was surveying my audience. So I was able to birth a couple companies just by noticing the needs. And then I also gave them a special thank you for completing the survey, which at that time was a 70% special offer. And that injected a lot of cash. But so that's like a quick tip for people. But yes, Doc, what you're saying there. So I already do what I've been doing, because our software, we have automated text messages. So we give that all to our people for free too. So what I do is I'm like, hey, Yolanda just got her first 10 leads and she just sent out her first mass text message on our software, like huge win. So I share those little bite-sized wins. So like when someone comes into my community, I give them a trajectory and I give them a couple checkpoints. And so I'm trying to like keep people focused on their trajectory without coaching. I don't do I do some mentorship, but it's kind of like, every time they hit a checkpoint or a milestone, that's a bite-sized win. And then like you said, you just gave me the idea, they can, because I have an affiliate link and affiliate system, they can say, hey, I just had a huge milestone personally in my business thanks to this open source community. Like
Mhm.
any one of my friends, you should be a part of this. And like, I already interview people. So I go interview to indoctrinate into my community. So that's one of my things that I do. And then on the other flip side is like, yes, highlighting. So I'm doing a virtual summit with all of my top promoters and all my top people who I think have a big heart, and no matter what the results are, but they're just showing up, they're trying their best. And so I'm giving people opportunities to practice their pitch, practice their everything. So I appreciate that, man. That makes me feel good that I can, because that's the big thing sometimes, is like, sometimes I'm like, what do I want out of this? What can they do for me to help me out? Because I do like month-end masterminds where we get to give each other feedback on funnels and all that jazz. And it's like, sometimes they can take me for granted because I just give everything
Mhm.
away. I'm just like, and I don't have any upsells, and they love it. But I'm like, okay, what can I do to continuously make this better? And one of the things I did was I asked them, just be honest with me, give me feedback. Are the sessions too long, too short? Do you need more office hours? Do you want to hear from us more? And that's just like what I'm trying to do to just continue to serve them. So I appreciate you answering my question. It lets me know I'm on the right track.
Love it,
So
man. No, love it. Thank you so much. Great comments. And oh, go ahead, Mitchell. You better say something. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just so what I'm hearing from Austin. Thanks for sharing that, man. It's almost like, however, he has a community. I don't know, does everyone else have a community here, or it almost seems like whatever your style is, like Doc is good at breaking these things down, and he's good with video, so he makes YouTube videos. Other people might not want to do video and might want to just to do short podcast clips, or maybe just write in things on Twitter or LinkedIn. Um, Doc, like, to me, it almost sounds like, whether you're testing this within a community or just for your own style, of just like having perpetually a way to test this, maybe not perpetually at first, but just to start out, to be like, for this month, I'm just going to test, a couple weeks each time, LinkedIn or whatever feels best. And then finally just picking something that resonates. Is that how you would think about it, Doc?
Oh, absolutely. I think for you, just doubling down on your strength and what you can do and you're most comfortable with, just do that, because you feel more passionate about it, you feel more comfortable, and then you can create that kind of content quicker and better than anyone else against yourself, right? So if you're like, hey, you know what, I can do tutorial videos all day long, okay, and I can help a community, just keep doing that. If it's, I love podcasting, I'm very personable, I love having guests, I love having these things, really lean into that when you're trying to connect. And out of anything that you choose like that, people will raise their hand once they like your style and either ask for either being a part of your community, your products and services, and then you're off to the races to do it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the one thing I would add to that is, it's a lot more fun for us individually once other people are seeing it and liking it. So like when we were building Noah's YouTube channel, for example, this was a few years back, but it was just him and I starting out, and we're like, all right, like, what do we want to make? What videos? And we made a lot of like, how to set up a calendar, or like productivity, or like email marketing. None of which things you see on the channel today, because there wasn't an audience for that on YouTube. And so over the years, it sort of evolved into like a Venn diagram of what videos he and the team is interested in making, and what the audience on YouTube wants to watch. And so I think like having a system where you're constantly testing. I know for a while we would do like 80% core strategy that we know works on YouTube, and then 20% we want to always be testing things. So with that being said, if you were to start from no audience, completely from scratch, knowing sort of how some of these platforms work, or maybe like some brands and individuals like popping off on short form, like, where would you start from zero today?
Platform or strategy or both?
I think both. Let's just say that you're in the client services. I think most people have some sort of consulting or coaching
Yeah.
business, and you maybe don't have a personal brand, but you want to just reach people.
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a few. I think YouTube can be in very niche. I still think YouTube, like, it's very hard to get traction to get the subscribers, but I think it can be very specific if you're helping a very specific group or know a certain methodology or using a software, you can really crush it, I feel like. But there's also other, like, you can play off of other platforms that people might not take advantage of, such as Pinterest. And also, again, I go with Reddit, because there's so much, like, it's so intimate depending on which subreddit, that people will DM you and you can really have interesting conversations. I know it depends on the subreddit. I know there's sometimes it looks like a dumpster fire, but I think that's like almost any platform that there's just can be a problem. But I think you can work on a lot of different ones. I feel like Twitter's another one. If you play it the right way, I really find that being in the right type of Twitter, like, group or just Twitter space, like, you can do it. No code Twitter is crazy. AI Twitter is crazy. NBA Twitter is crazy. NBA front office Twitter is crazy. Like, it just depends on the exact niche. But I mean, I can give you an example of, I'm not sure if anyone's heard of it. It's a YouTube channel called, I think of Alpha Investing and Glarses. Alpha Investing is all about the business of alternative investing with Magic the Gathering card. And that man is pulling in easy 200K per month from his audience. Just his membership and what he does, which is just insane. Glarses is just teaching people how to build their custom keyboards. And it's half comedy, half technical aspect of building keyboards, which is an insane industry on YouTube. One last thing is wood carving. Wood carving is huge on YouTube. Like, these are certain ones, like, people like, oh, if I've got to be comedy or I've got to do this. I'm like, they don't have a huge amount of subscribers. Some of these channels, some have less than 1,000, some have 300,000, but they're all crushing it in business. So I really think, like you were saying, if I was starting from scratch, YouTube, it's like compounding interest. As soon as you start on YouTube, like, it only gets better from there if you put out passionate content. It doesn't mean you're going to go viral overnight, doesn't mean you're going to be the next Mr. Beast, but it's just an amazing place. It's an amazing, I might be biased, but I feel like YouTube is just insane.
Yeah, I like that. And so one of the things that comes to mind is when we had Sam Parr on this masterclass towards the end of last year. He was explaining how he uses Reddit just to come up with ideas. And so, like, just to sort of like pre-test what concepts are interesting, you could use that and then just pick your medium, and whether it's YouTube or, Twitter or LinkedIn, but you've already sort of pre-validated that a concept is interesting, then obviously, like, putting your own spin on it from there.
Yeah. Could I bring something up real quick? Is that all right?
Please? Yeah.
One of the things, and this is, so I actually got it from the Trends team for the Hustle and Trends.co, but, like, that's what I'm doing constantly. I'm constantly looking at what subreddits are popping off. Now, of course, depends on the subject. Like, don't go too great, but, like, I can see what's going on with ChatGPT Pro. I can see what's going on with different things. Once I go into it, then I can see the trend line of the top submissions. How big is the community growing very quickly? You're looking for the quick spikes. So a lot of times, if I'm like, I don't know what I need to talk about, or I'm not even sure if I'm really passionate about it, I'll just start going down here to see, okay, GPT, like, chat just keeps coming up over and over again. There's something going on with prompts. Okay, I need to start looking at prompts. Then I can look at, okay, what are people talking about? Like, the natural language people are talking about in the subreddit. And then if my computer doesn't have emotional issues for a second, I'll show it in a second. But then I'm going to go into, like, the top, and then I'm probably going to go something like this week to see, like, is this a trend? What's happening on? What are they doing? What can I copy? Are people just upvoting, or is there a bigger conversation in the comments? Sometimes the comments in, like, more of a deep dive, what people are saying is better, perhaps. So it's huge. It's free research, And there's just a totally different line of incentives on Reddit that I feel is more, it's just hard to game the system of Reddit when there's so much going on. And these subreddits are like, depending on the subreddit you go and they'll just kick you out if you're being too salesy, or they see that you're trying to game the system. So then you can really explore. Like, I'm not sure if anyone's on Reddit. My karma score is terrible. Like, my karma score is like 100, but my wife's score is like 10,000 karma points, which it doesn't even make sense. I spend so much time on Reddit and she's just so much better than me, because she honestly, she hates sales. And so she gives everything's, so she gets awards all the time, every single time she posts. I never get awards. So that just gives an example that you find a platform that really works and works with your workflow, you can crush it. You can crush it. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that subreddit. Do you mind linking that in
Oh, yeah.
the chat so people could check
Yeah.
that out? Myself being one of them. Austin asked, any good software besides vidIQ for YouTube
Yeah.
that you use?
Yeah. I like vidIQ. I also like TubeBuddy a lot. You know, of course, some people are like, wait, it's the same thing. It's just pros and cons. Like, they have certain features, some don't. I like TubeBuddy because depending on which plan you have, they have the A/B testing for thumbnails and things like that, and good research tools. Also, I'm putting in gummysearch.com, so that helps you with like finding different Reddits, subreddits too. But I think those are my favorite. But also too, after using vidIQ and TubeBuddy, what is the book? It's Daryl Eves, The YouTube Formula. I find that a lot of times having the methodology of understanding of the creation of content and understanding purpose instead of just using the tool has really worked, because I was like, oh, I'm going to kill it. Like, if I have TubeBuddy, like, and TubeBuddy is an alumni of an AppSumo drop back in the day. So, you know,
Yeah.
that I really enjoyed it, but having the methodology and understanding the structure of like storytelling, what you need to do, and then having the analytics like to teach or understanding, that's been like the gold for me.
Nice. Let's see what else we have. What podcast is most simple? Austin asked Acast.
A podcast platform to use, stuff like that. Let's see. I use podcast.co. Was it you know, AppSumo deal back in the day? Is Acast a platform that's asking, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard of Acast.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say also too, depends on I would reverse engineer like what platform, what are you trying to accomplish with the podcast? Like, what do you need? Because, you know, I'm thinking about Anchor. I love Anchor. It's free. It's really easy to use, but there's pros and cons. Like, what do you need out of that platform? Well, what's good for you, kind of thing. And I would, if you're just getting started, or, you know, I would say what's not working, or what do you need more components for that platform to work for you? And then again, goals. Then it's easy to decide. I love podcast.co because they also have other, you know, software. What is it? It's the finding the speaker one. Erica knows. She's going to drop in the chat. I already know you know it. But it's, I also like the ecosystem of like what the other product lines that they've done. So that's why I stay with product, you know, podcast.co. But there's tons. Yeah. Great question.
Yeah.
Great question.
Erica put mysoundwise.com. I think Marianne uses that too.
Yeah. Oh God. Soundwise is so good. It is, you could make your empire with that. You could make your empire with that. Such a good point. Let's see. Oh, it looks like Mohammed might have a question too.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
guys.
So Mohammed.
Yeah, I'm Mohammed. I'm from Iraq, actually. I'm living in Baghdad, and I'm trying to find like a way to generate money online, getting like using the tools that available on AppSumo. Maybe if you guys have any use cases you have experienced before, or maybe any journeys you have. So I'm trying to generate money online while I'm living in Iraq. So anything that's less than $1,000 a month is really good to live in here. So I'm trying to find some experiences you guys have to get privileges from the AppSumo deals. So yeah,
Love
hopefully.
it. I've got it right here for you if you don't mind. So we just dropped a whole survey, or what happened in the no code trends report for last year. Being an
Mhm.
automation agency, a lot of these automation agencies are pulling in anywhere from a couple K a month to close to 6 figures a month. And that is providing automation services for a business that is already selling something. So e-commerce, Shopify stores or something, you already are finding businesses that they're making money, but they're doing a lot of things manually, and that's taking up their time and energy. And you're building out the framework to automate so they don't need to increase their employee size. And you're just streamlining everything with automation. So you can be doing that with Connextit. Directual is in the store right now, which is, I would say it's closer to low code. But if you're doing things with APIs, if you have that technicalities, like that's a killer. Connextit is, I would say, like an alternative to Zapier or something like Make. But
Albato. I purchased Albato.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
for
Love it, love it, love it. But again, it's going to the customer. What are they? And it's really assessment like, hey, you're running this e-commerce store. What are you doing that's stressing you out, or what's taking most of your time? You're listening to what their journey is and then filling in the gaps of I'm bringing you from A to B versus you saying, oh, I've got this tech stack. It's going to do this. It's going to do this. Because it's just going to go over their head and they don't care. You just need to say, like, you're having this pain point. I'm going to solve this. And this is what the ending is going to be like.
Mhm. So generating the leads is gonna be like, do you have any ideal
Yep.
way to find leads?
So there's a couple different ones. I think Pipe Candy did it for a minute. I'm not sure if I got to check if Pipe Candy's still in the store, but basically you can do a couple things, or use Synovio. I look for either what their tech stack is, and either, hey, I want to work with e-commerce stores that are on WordPress. Boom. Then I would look for their tech stack and help WordPress stores, e-commerce stores, or Shopify stores. Then it's going to be specific for you to then say, hey, I noticed that you have this kind of store.
Mhm.
I help with this. And now you've already got a curated list. And depending on the tech stack that you like working with, it's going to be easier versus if you're like, I'm just going to go after all e-commerce stores. If they're on, like, if you hate WordPress and you don't want to deal with it, like, focus on what tech stack you want to help and that you can scale quickly and be repeatable versus if you're like e-commerce store, then it's going to be a hot mess and too much stress for you.
Good. That's really good insight. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Great
Well,
question.
good.
Another thing to maybe check out too. I know the other day, Fiverr just announced like a new set of AI services,
Yep.
and so like I think it's good if you're just starting out to see like from a blank slate of like you could just be the top rated person for these services, but then also it's interesting to see what where the exchange of money is happening, to see like, you know, you could read a million AI threads on LinkedIn and Twitter, but like here you can see like what people are actually paying for. And so I would just go and see what the trend is there, what they're paying for, and then maybe cross-reference that with Twitter of like what are people asking for. Sometimes they'll just straight up say, hey, I'm looking to hire an automation expert, and then starting out with just one simple thing and then sort of building from there could be one approach.
Well, that's such a good idea. That's
That's
such a good
great.
idea. Fiverr basically does all the work for you, because if they're the top rated ones, they're even telling you what they're rendering, what their service rendered, right? So you can just get an idea of the structure of what you can be offering and everything. I'm putting in one more, Trendly. It's similar to like Exploding Topics, but it allows you to see what's trending with Google Trends, but also it shows you the top rated products on Amazon as well, and then a couple other sites, so you can see the trends of not only what people are searching for, but what people are buying at the same time, to see if there's something that you can capitalize as well in this space. Yeah,
This is
Upwork is great.
cool. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen Trendly, and like this is just something, it looks like this get a demo from Mike that he just started. Like, I think that is an easy way to do both of these things that we've talked about. We're like, how do you attract the people that you want into your ecosystem without making it really hard? And then two, how do you figure out what these trends and things are? It's like, just share as you're learning. Say you set up like an awesome automation for email marketing, and you're just sharing that, like the people interested in that will follow along, and that they can potentially become your customers.
Yeah. Good stuff. I have a list of tools. You tell me, Mitchell. When you're doing this now, I feel like I need to drop some links. I'm loving this real quick. You tell
Yeah,
me.
let's do a quick check-in from everyone. Put like,
Yeah.
so far 1 to 10, what are you guys liking? Are we at 10s? Are we at 5s? Are we at 1s? 10 is the best.
Yeah,
Let's see
qualify.
what people let's see what people are doing. And then the second to that, Erica says 10. Nice. 10. Okay, sweet. People are digging it. So we'll wrap up on the hour here in about 8 or so minutes. But what do you guys want? This is yours. Steve says 11. We love that.
Oh,
Nice.
take that.
What do you think would be most helpful for people, Doc? What links were you talking about?
So I had a couple links of trends that I was gonna be using, like there's an AI for that.com that kind of just categorizing all the different types of AIs that are coming out, and then why you'd be using it. So not just, hey, I should download all this, but like, what's the use case? So that's kind of why I like the category. But then it allows you on AppSumo, if you're like, I need X, Y, and Z for my business, like I need help with writing. Okay, maybe I'll use Writer or something like that. Or I need help on ideation. Okay, I might need something like niches or something that style. So really understanding how you're going to be going with AI, because I think it can be useful for your workflow and not a substitute for everything, but allows you to have your superpower. And then something that I've been playing around with, I'm going to be probably coming out a review with it a little bit later, Instaprice, where it helps people, where a lot of people are like, but how do I frame my pricing? How do I do X, Y, and Z? This is great for freelancers as well. That's kind of, maybe you're inside your head too much and you're thinking about like, how do I need to frame pricing for a client? That's interesting because they have a library and different templates to really think about how you can structure if you're having trouble approaching that conversation, if that's hard for you with clients.
Interesting. Which one? What do you find yourself using more these days?
Which out of the two things I dropped?
Yeah.
I would say that's interesting. For clients, Instaprice kind of just a lot of times it's a psychological, like we have to go through exercises for people to want to charge a certain amount. I'm looking at you, Erica, but also too, it's a good framework to kind of think about pricing and what you're going to market. I find there's an AI for that. I kind of just allows me to see what's out there, what's happening. And then if I need something for a client, that helps me to kind of be just a mover for that as well. Kind of just going that way. So those would be the main things that I use. Yeah.
Nice. That makes sense. So it's almost like, I think maybe one of the harder parts about all this stuff is like deciding, are you working in your business or on your business, or like what sort of phase, almost like the checklist you shared at the beginning. So just kind of knowing that. Erica, what is up?
I've been following Doc for a long time, and hands down, he gives great information. And today I just found out about Instaprice. So yeah, I
Nice.
appreciate that. I have a thing about repurposing content. It's just something about making something else out of something that's already there. And now I know, or I will about to find out how much I can charge for that. So
Good
wanted to say
times.
thanks out loud.
Love it.
Nice.
Love it.
Erica, what do you think? What do you think you've learned? What's been most helpful that you've learned from Doc, if you had to name one thing?
Asked to get paid right away up front.
Mm.
It took me a while, but I think I got it now.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't do things for free around here. All right. That's right. Good times. And that doesn't mean I don't say free things. You can always give out free things. But if you're trying to think about your product or service, test out pricing, and not when people say like, oh yeah, maybe one day, like test them if they're going to pay you right there. So that's why always having payment links or things like with Paperform, you can do or Book Like a Boss, another alumni of AppSumo, being able to create something very quickly, see if people really are going to want your products or services, and then you can pivot from there based on what they're looking for.
A saying I got from Doc is that a hobby is for fun and it's free. And if it's a business, you should get paid for it.
I got to take that quote.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
forgot I said that.
Nice. Yeah. So Austin, yeah, we will have a recording of this in the sauce. And then just Katie, you put a plug if you're not in the sauce. All Plus members should do have access to that. So that's where you can make sure that you're there. We are looking to make the sauce better by migrating to like the 2.0 version. So we'll have more coming out on that. But it's easier to just to have preset either questions or know where things are. So look out for that. We'll maybe do one more question before we wrap for with Doc. Any last questions? Thank you, Austin, for the soft branding. Any last questions for Doc before we hop? He was very generous in coming and hanging out with us for an hour, so that is much appreciated. I have a question if nobody else does. So I'm curious, like you've been in this for a while, Doc, and then you've seen things like, I don't know, anything from crypto to Web3 to the creator economy. Right now it's kind of AI. What is your excitement level for AI versus some of these other things? And like, what are you doing to position yourself as, an expert, if you are?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I would say I'm really bullish on AI and machine learning. I think that it's going to have a great year, but I also think it's going to be, there's so many different products and platforms and use cases. I think it's finding out what you're excited about and then creating tons of content and tons of value around that and going from there. So mine is, I think, AI and machine learning, but also dealing with productivity and being able to lean out businesses. That's going to probably be my lane. I am interested in art and stable diffusion for different artists that are what they're going to be doing and creating indie games and the crazy things people are doing with the art aspect of it. But I really think it's going to have a great year, and something that's going to be slept on, I think, because there's going to be so much AI and people are going to think like it's taking over everything. Curation is going to be huge for you to be able to use it effectively and teach others, or how it's going to be applicable for your industry or what you're doing. So yeah, it's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I have a few just links pulled up in the background from what you shared. So we appreciate you coming on and sharing everything that you just did. And I think we have a Zoom survey that pops up automatically once we wrap here. So please fill that out. Any ideas that you guys have to make this better, other things to talk about in future ones. And yeah, we want to keep doing cool stuff like this to help everyone along the business journeys. And Doc, thank you so much, my man.
No problem. All right, everybody. Nice to see everyone. Take care. Bye.
Amazing. See you out. Peace.
Thanks.
Mitchell, may I ask, do you guys do networking events with fellow sauce members?
You certainly can add for that. We haven't really, but that is one of the things that we're looking to add in the new platform. There's things like you like sign up and just get randomly matched with somebody, or you could like give a little bit of information of like, I'm looking for somebody in marketing, or I'm a developer. Is that something that you'd be interested in?
I guess I was thinking more like, have you been in Air Meet and you see the 5-minute speed networking, or just have tables set up in the lounge and have like certain talks or topics for your
Um,
tents?
yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one, but I've seen the speed networking one. Would that be, have you done those before? Do you like it?
I like those. Yeah, you get to meet random people.
Yeah, so rather than just one real quick, it's a little bit longer and then kind of rapid fire.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
nice. I'll check that out. What was it called? Air Meet?
yeah, it was on
Air
AppSumo.
Meet. Ah, okay, nice. Let me jot that down real quick. Yeah, if there's
Katie
any
has
other,
Mm.
oh, of course, nice. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks,
Yeah, and if
Katie.
there are any others that you'd want to see, definitely down for it. Like ideally, we start to just, well, I guess I don't know. What do you think? Was this something that you would want monthly? Some of the people in the survey had mentioned like accountability as well, to say like, being in the month, state your accountability. I don't know if that's of interest to everyone. Any ideas on what you would want to see, Erica, or anyone else here?
Um, I really like having the master classes, and I think they're monthly. So maybe if you did networking like every quarter.
Networking quarterly, master classes monthly. And then do you see this as like another master class, or this is more of like a community event in between master classes?
I learned a lot. You should see all the tabs I have open. So yeah, I'm gonna call this that.
Nice, amazing. Cool.
Like
It looks
when
like Katie
Mohammed
also
asked a
posted.
question about making money right away, and all of you guys started putting those links in, I got ideas. I got an action plan from this. So thanks again.
Yes, we love to hear that. Nice. Amazing. So yeah, well, I think we'll keep doing them. That we'll certainly look at the survey to see what people say, but based on there's a lot of tens in the chat, so it sounds like people like them, and we keep them rolling. One other idea we had internally too is like, maybe some of the questions that come in are all around design or marketing or running a company, like whatever, and then like we could bring on Noah, or we could bring on the AppSumo design team, or really whoever, to kind of dive into to more questions.
Okay, I do have a question. You had mentioned something at the very beginning when we started. The thing that Doc is doing with AppSumo, like if I bought something off AppSumo, like I bought UChat, I have no idea how to use it, but I would really like to. Is that something that I could ask Doc to help me with through?
Yes, through which part?
Is it through the Plus membership, or can I just
Yeah,
say, hey,
so great question. The original intent of the expert services PDP that we had, that product page, was for someone to, I think it's like $100, you could buy that and then ask him, whatever questions. And he had mentioned that like people weren't really doing that anymore. Like he had just gotten randomly one the other week because he had forgotten about it. But then he pointed out that most people didn't need like a technical deep dive. They just needed some sort of accountability, or just kind of walk through of like, oh, I have all this stuff, I don't know where to start. But also that is one of the things we see in the surveys, to say like, okay, well, I do need some handholding on a tool. So yeah, I think if we have these monthly, then in the form you could fill it out and just be like, oh, I want to walk through like specifically how do I implement this tool that I just got, and then we could just do that live in this on this call. And like if nobody else is here and it's just with questions and it's just you, then that's like a full hour of doing that. But then if there's other questions too, we kind of shuffle through them. So yeah, I think that's certainly something we could do.
all right, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions from any of the other folks in here? Cool. Well, thank you all for coming. Remember to fill out that survey, and we will see you next time.
Wow.
Thanks, everyone. Adios.